The sentence was never meant to travel. It wasn't prepared, polished, or positioned for impact. It wasn't delivered from a podium or filtered through a press release. It surfaced quietly, in conversation, almost as an afterthought. We were always close, intimate even. There was no pause afterward, no sense of realization, just a statement, spoken as if it described something obvious, something that had never needed defending. But once the words existed outside that private moment, they detonated. Because the man who said them was not insignificant. He was not a stranger chasing attention. He was not an outsider speculating from the margins. He was Markus Anderson, a name that had lived for years just beneath the surface of a much larger story. And once that name resurfaced, nothing about the narrative felt stable anymore. To understand why those words carried so much weight, you have to rewind far beyond palace gates and royal protocols, back to a time before titles, before global scrutiny, before fairy tales hardened into contracts. Long before he became a figure of quiet concern among courtiers, Markus Anderson was simply a man who understood people. Raised far from elite power structures, he didn't inherit influence, he studied it. He learned how status moved, how desire worked, how access could be more powerful than authority. Markus possessed an uncommon ability. He could enter a room and immediately identify its hierarchy, who needed validation, who wanted secrecy, who wanted to feel chosen, and instead of demanding anything, he offered something far more effective: discretion. That talent found its perfect environment inside a private members network built on exclusivity and silence. To the public, it was a stylish social club. To insiders, it was an ecosystem where careers accelerated and reputations were shaped. Markus didn't simply work there, he curated it. He controlled introductions, he managed proximity, he decided which faces became familiar and which remained invisible. Those with power trusted him because he protected their privacy. Those chasing power depended on him because he could change trajectories with a single invitation. And that was the world where he met Meghan Markle. At the time, she was not a global figure. She was a working actress with ambition and awareness, sharp enough to know that talent alone rarely opens the right doors. Markus noticed that immediately. He didn't see desperation, he saw focus. Their connection didn't begin with romance, it began with alignment. He offered insight, she absorbed it. He explained which rooms mattered, she listened. He taught her how influence moved quietly rather than loudly, she adapted. Over time, their dynamic evolved into something deeper than mentorship, but less definable than partnership. They traveled together, not recklessly, but purposefully. Cities like London, Madrid, and Istanbul weren't escapes, they were classrooms. Every dinner had a reason, every invitation carried intent. To outsiders, it looked glamorous. To those paying attention, it looked organized. People who encountered them together noticed something unusual. They didn't perform closeness, they embodied it. Conversations flowed without explanation. Decisions were made without debate. It was the kind of connection that doesn't announce itself because it doesn't need to. As Meghan's profile grew, Markus remained constant. He introduced her to designers, creatives, decision-makers, people whose names never appeared in headlines, but whose influence shaped outcomes. He didn't just open doors, he positioned her inside the right rooms at the right moments. Her rise felt organic. That was the brilliance of it. Nothing appeared rushed, nothing felt forced. Momentum built naturally because it was being guided. By the time her name circulated regularly in elite circles, her life no longer unfolded randomly. Every step served a trajectory. Markus understood timing better than anyone: when to advance, when to pause, when silence would do more than presence. And then came the countryside retreat. In 2016, Meghan stayed at a secluded English property known for attracting people who valued privacy over publicity. The booking was not spontaneous, the setting was controlled, the guest list was curated. That weekend, Meghan met Prince Harry. The meeting itself was understated. No spectacle, no formal introduction, just conversation, laughter, curiosity. Something immediate and unmistakable passed between them. Later that night, after the evening ended, Meghan reached for her phone and called Markus. Her voice carried excitement and uncertainty. She told him the man she'd met felt different. Markus didn't react with surprise. He offered one piece of advice: measured, strategic, and decisive. Let him see the part of you the world doesn't get access to. From that moment forward, the story changed shape. Because Meghan wasn't simply entering a relationship, she was stepping into a transformation. And Markus didn't retreat into the background. He observed closely. As Meghan and Harry grew closer, Markus remained present but never intrusive. He shared meals with them, joined trips, laughed easily. To Harry, he appeared to be a trusted friend from Meghan's past, a familiar presence who had been there before the spotlight. Yet something felt different. Meghan shifted around Markus. Her posture softened, her laughter came easier. She seemed unguarded in a way Harry rarely saw elsewhere. It wasn't overt, it wasn't inappropriate, but it was unmistakably intimate in a way that didn't require physicality. And for a man already navigating the weight of expectation and legacy, those subtleties mattered. The triangle formed quietly, without confrontation, without intention. Markus viewed Meghan as someone whose journey he had shaped long before royalty entered the picture. Harry viewed her as the person who might finally offer escape. Neither said it aloud, but the dynamic existed. And it didn't disappear. By the time the wedding arrived, the narrative had solidified. The public saw renewal, modernity, a future-forward monarchy. Every detail was choreographed to signal hope. And there, among the guests, sat Markus Anderson. Not hidden, not distant, seated close enough to observe a ceremony that symbolized a new beginning, yet rested on a foundation built long before vows were exchanged. To most observers, his presence meant nothing. To those familiar with the history, it was impossible to ignore. Inside palace walls, life intensified quickly. Structure tightened, protocols multiplied, scrutiny became relentless. And when pressure mounted, Meghan didn't always turn inward to her marriage for grounding. She reached outward. Calls to Markus continued. His name surfaced during planning discussions. He appeared at private dinners. He joined discreet trips. Always justified, always familiar. To palace staff, patterns emerged. One private moment, recounted later in hushed tones, marked a turning point. When Harry questioned why Markus remained so involved, Meghan's response was calm but definitive. He's the one who's never left. The words lingered. Because marriage is supposed to be a beginning, and suddenly it felt like an addition to an existing structure rather than the foundation itself. The quote that changed everything didn't originate from a broadcast interview. It slipped out during an informal exchange. No recording equipment, no prepared talking points. Just conversation. We've always been close. Intimate, even. That didn't change. The sentence moved faster than anyone anticipated. Within hours, it circulated. Then it exploded. Photos were revisited, timelines dissected. Interactions once dismissed as friendly were reinterpreted under a harsher lens. Inside institutional corridors, urgency spiked. This wasn't about embarrassment, it was about exposure. Markus had access, he had history, he had proximity, and now he had spoken. Harry withdrew. Days passed with no public acknowledgement, no clarification, no denial. He replayed memories in isolation, the unexplained absences, the casual mentions, the way conversations shifted whenever Markus entered the room. The word intimate echoed. Arguments followed, at first subdued, then sharper, always circling back to the same presence, the same unanswered question. Late one night, Harry scrolled through old images of Meghan's Toronto years. Photo after photo revealed the same constant figure, always close, always comfortable, always there. By morning, he left. He checked into a private retreat, citing the need for distance. It marked the first significant separation since stepping away from royal life. In the quiet that followed, one thought refused to loosen its grip. Had he entered a story that never truly paused long enough to let him in? Behind the scenes, concern rippled outward. Advisors convened, legal teams revisited agreements, conversations turned strategic. The focus was not on headlines, but on Markus, because one sentence had already done irreparable damage, and the question remained, what else did he know? Then, without explanation, Markus disappeared from view. No statements, no interviews, no rebuttals, just silence. Public appearances resumed, smiles returned. Official narratives stabilized, but something fundamental had shifted. Trust narrowed, circles tightened. The world moved forward, as it always does, but the question endured. Was the statement honesty, carelessness, loyalty misplaced? Or was it simply a truth that survived too long in the dark? Because beneath the spectacle, the crowns, and the ceremony, the story revealed something uncomfortably human, that even the most carefully constructed lives can hinge on unspoken bonds. And sometimes, all it takes to fracture an illusion is a single sentence spoken without realizing how loud it would become.